we have the Mista playing in the color red, playing as the Mongols on the opposite side of the map. We have Wam01 playing as the French in the color blue. We're out here in Dry Arabia. Look at that. Wam immediately opens up with an outpost with a tower on his gold mine.
Yeah, so doesn't want to have to deal with any sort of early pressure at all. And even though we talked about, maybe skipping that dark gauge spearman stuff, it's still going to be happening. And Mista's still going to be able to go up behind this as well. My big question is when will Mista end up getting wheelbarrow? We know he doesn't usually like it, but I feel like in Empire Wars, it's even more necessary to get.
Yeah, I think Mista, he said himself he recently came to appreciate wheelbarrow quite a bit more. So could be that we're going to be seeing it as one of the first technologies here from him. And we do actually see he start up with the barracks and is now queuing some spearments, aging up with the deer stones at the same time. Deer stones we've seen as kind of like the theme here on Empire Wars for the Mongols. Instead of the trade, you immediately boost up the speed of all your villagers. And since you have so many villagers to start with, it does help you out quite a bit here.
Yeah, and then if trade needs to be invested into, it still can be. Just drop a market over there in the corner. Market's in a great position for it. If Mista drops a market in the southern side, he can choose either market to trade to and swap if one side starts getting denied. Obviously, Wam has one of the prime civilizations to try to deny trade, to try to pressure the other side and take that control.
Exactly. Also going for that second TC now. Going to be gathering up quite a lot of stone for that. Question is Mista also going to go for a second TC? He does have still a lot of villagers over on wood. He's also gathering a lot of food at the same time.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. Once the age up happens, usually you'll end up seeing that double Broadex come through if Mongols wants to go for that second TC, as it's only wood that they end up needing to invest into. Hasn't happened yet. We're seeing Spearman upgrade being the first priority, which makes perfect sense.
So getting the wheelbarrow in right now. Both players are. Second stable, placed by Wam there for a second. Thinks about it again, though. Does need the wood right now for his second TC. It's going to be placing on the deer, and the deer beautifully spawned there in the back. Wam has gotten both the gold mine as well as the deer in the back there. That's an S tier kind of spawn. That's a Marine Lord kind of spawn here for Wam.
Yeah, even has the berries over there behind it as well. So it just has plenty of back resources and even has the wood lines right in front of it that if he wanted to wall, and he doesn't have to, but if he wanted to, very, very short investments as far as the walls would go to shore up the whole entire north side, essentially.
There we go. We've seen it from Mista before. This man, he does like knight units and immediately goes for a double stable play now.
Ooh. That knight, though, for Wam, first knight, very, very low already. Obviously, we did see a spearman get taken down, but that almost renders that knight useless.
Yeah, that knight isn't going to do a whole lot anymore. And there we go. Another knight comes out and immediately gets a poke there from the spearman. Kashyyyks do make their way across the map now from Mista. It's going to look to deny some resource, but man, with the way the map spawned here, it's going to be really tough to do any damage, and Wam immediately walled between the wood lines here as well.
Yeah, and this is kind of what I was mentioning, and can even extend those with 2 more short walls all the way to the northeastern side of the map. Obviously, kind of prioritizing the wood investment early here, but that even short wall there allows all of his units to be safe and secure with the outpost on gold.
The weak knight is there as well. Mista has the opportunity to take down the weak knight there. Gets a hit in. Still needs 1 to 2 more. Knight still lives.
Just barely, though.
Range.
Yeah, Wam needs to get that knight, put it inside of a TC, and forget about it. And he will forget about it now as the charge comes through, gets a little bit extra movement speed, and even still, there was a spearman in great positioning. A little bit extra damage on the scout, but a great job here by Mista going in for this early pressure.
But what a life it would have been if the knight survived. Like, he was losing limbs at that point in time. Additional walls coming out here for Wam is already making plans about walling that right side up.
Yeah,
Mista
not
is
too
going to be
much
finding that villager.
Yeah, and really, really cool by Wam to go for the more aggressive side. He went for the more forward wall instead, and it actually allows that villager to stay a little bit safer for the time being. Has some knights here circling, knights and Keshiks on either side, just staring out, moving back and forth. But looks like Wham going to be able to defend up this position and get those walls up, I think.
Mista behind all of this, though, he does have a big problem. The military count right now for him, it's not in a big lead. Actually, Wham has the army value lead right now. And behind that, he is on 2 TC and Mista isn't.
Yeah, he doesn't really have a ton to show for himself as of now. Wham did a really good job of getting units out really fast and defending the points of his base to where no pressure came in.
See a lot of production buildings right now coming up from Mista, and looks like he wants to go all in on the offensive, trying to kill his opponent here. Is he going to be able to? A lot of knights still in production from Wham, but Mista is also adding in some spearmen of his own.
The spears just aren't quite there yet. There's one spearman. The villager, though, decides to back away, cannot finish the walls, and there is still a gap. Your wall is only as good as the weakest link, and, I mean, there's not even any links there.
And now the Keshiks are coming in, can potentially get a villager kill there. First villager of the game does go down. Second one survives with just a sliver of HP.
Yep. Able to chill for the time being. Wham pushes, misses units back, but runs into a couple of the spears, runs into the Keshiks, and one knight falls for no units that are picked up on the other side. So again, good trade by the Mista here.
Now it's a 4th archery range, so we see 2 stables, 4 archery ranges, 1 barracks. He hasn't started producing it out of these, and look at that, Mista, he's going up to castle age behind all of this aggression. Wham right now, not even close to aging up, and it's gonna be a step redoubt coming out from him. Going for the OG play.
Yep, step redoubt on its way. The question is, quad archery ranges, what is your plan?
I would say it's either gonna... I mean, there's not many choices, right? I don't think it's gonna be Mangadai. If anybody says Mangadai, that's gonna be a timeout for me, and... Yeah,
I was waiting for it was a bait question. I was just hoping someone was just gonna go Mangadai. There's no way it's Mangadai, right?
Surely not. Surely we're not gonna be seeing Mangadai here from Mista. He hasn't made any units yet, so I would suspect that it's not gonna be archers, but it's gonna be crossbowmen.
Yeah, that's my thought. He has a good baseline of Keshiks already, and so the crossbows will just prove to be that perfect unit to defend from any sort of knights at all. The knights can have to be very, very, like, picky with their positioning, or else they're just going to get taken out quite quickly. With 4 archery ranges, he's going to have a mass of crossbows in a blink of an eye.
That's why true there. And I mean, all these knights right now for Wham, they are still feudal age knights, so crossbows are going to be able to do a lot of damage here to them. Mista knows exactly where they are positioned right now as well. And he's going to be able to easily defend his own base here with this aggression from Wham coming out. He does still have the spearmen. What's that upgrade coming in from right now? Is that the upgrade for the Keshiks or for the horsemen? It should be Keshiks. Yeah, it is the Greater on the Keshiks.
You will lose that villager attempting a tower, but having this villager go down, it could be worse for him. All that does is delay the Knight Mass from getting towards his base that much quicker, is able to defend up, picks up another knight here. So crazy that with French Mongols, we're at the 9-minute mark on, I guess it's Empire Wars, but it's only 2-1 on the Vil kills.
Yeah, indeed, not a lot of villagers here have gone down so far. Mista, it's gonna have to really be wary here of the Night Mist from Wham as it keeps building on right now. Wham still not really thinking about going up to the castle age here. He just moved out onto the deer, so he's gonna get a large influx of food here soon. Maybe that's gonna be the boost that he'll take in order to go up to the castle age. He's also getting a lot of upgrades right now, all the eco upgrades that he's been missing so far.
Oh, was that a chop through? I think that might have been a chop through.
Oh no, it is a chop through. The knights are in. Wham immediately notices though. Does have the archers there to defend, and it's gonna be able to re-wall. Man,
very quick reaction there.
That's a real jump scare right there.
Yeah, that's one of those that if you don't react in time, because a lot of times you're like, I have my walls, I'm fully secure, I'm fine, and then all of a sudden you look back and you're like, I don't know how they got through. Luckily, reacted rather quickly.
Yeah, certified Age of Empires 4 jump scare right there. Crossbows currently massing up. Up to 13 crossbows now. Should almost be have enough in order to take down these non-veteran archers.
And as you say that, he thinks he has enough. He's starting to move out because guess what? Not only does he have crossbows, he's got those spears and the Keshiks. So any of these fights that he forces, it's going to be a perfect fight for him, as the Keshiks can just dive on top of the archers and the crossbows just get protected by all the spears.
Oh, and Wham, he's not going for the base race. It's falling back now. He does have a large amount of knights. But Mista should have enough crossbows to one-shot these knights.
Yeah. Doesn't have those crossbows in his base, though. So if Wham just heads towards his base with the knights, it will prove to cause some damage. That being said, he's going to have to worry about his mass at home because this allows Mista to step up if he wants.
And he is falling back. Mista is falling back with his army right now, but this is going to buy Wham enough time to go up himself now. Villagers here are going to be really fast. He does have that Yam Aura and the wheelbarrow, so 1.49 tiles of movement speed per second for all of these villagers. Means they're going to be able to run away from these knights with ease. And that Royal Institute is coming up. And that's the correct choice here. He already has so many knights. If he gets Royal Bloodlines on these, they're going to be able to take fights even against the Spearmen, even against the crossbows. They're going to be able to hold their own.
Yeah, they can just dive that Mongol TC, dive Mongol outpost, and not have a care in the world because they are so tanky. But speaking of dive, it looks like Mista's maybe planning on starting to pressure up, starting to do some damage into Wham's base. But, I mean, Wham's eco is starting to get out of hand.
Yeah, it's quite rough right now for Mr. Wham. 33 villagers ahead right now. Oh, Keshiks to run away there. Getting sandwiched there between two sides. Now the H-up has come in though. This has to be the time where Mr. pushes. If he waits too long, it's only gonna get worse and worse now for him.
Yeah, now this would allow Wham to start making arbs if he desires, but more importantly, he gets veterancy on the knights, he gets veterancy on the archers, and last but not least, royal bloodlines.
Behind all of this, relics are getting picked up by Mista. Two additional ones currently on their way back. Royal bloodlines now being researched. 1 minute 20 seconds. Wham has to wait 1 minute and 20 seconds before taking a fight. Else I don't think he'll be able to win this one. That's going to be tough because Mista is right in front of his base right now.
Yep, is able to get the bounty for burning one house. Crossbows stepping up, and the archers are forced back on the side of Wham. Wham needs to wait. He knows he needs to wait here for those upgrades to come through, but does he have the time to wait? He's starting to run out of these secondary food resources. He's going to have to make that farm transition, and Mista might know that. He might just play that timing.
Veterans also being researched right now on the archers. I mean, if Wham is able to wait to delay the fight until then, it's so many crossbows and spearmen right now. I'm not even sure if the Royal Bloodlines Knights are going to be enough. Veterancy on the archer can make a difference, but there are no Castle Age Blacksmith upgrades right now for Wham.
And Wham's housed. No more units that are going to be made will come out. The Knights, though, they're starting to dive forward. Mista sees it, though. Starts to move forward with his villagers towards his military, but he's going to run out of the YAM network, and those Knights, they might be able to close. Will they be able to close fast enough? The answer is no. As the military here from Mista arrives, he can just circle back right towards the gold, but this is the problem with French Knights and no walls. You always have to respect it when there's 29 Knights circling around.
And Royal Bloodlines has now come in, so these Knights are now extra tanky. Only a Spearman currently following those Knights. Wham, starting to make his own crossbows, his own arbaletier and archers. Arbaletier are going to be excellent here in this one. He does get the cheaper upgrades as well for the arbaletier through his Royal Institute. And he does have a keep now. Keep is being built just as Wham gets dove into the base by Mista. But the keep is already up. It's the second keep that's going up somewhere else.
I mean, that keep is so prime. You talked about this timing that Mista needed to push, needed to do something. Well, Wham kept delaying it, kept delaying it, kept delaying it. And now when Mista tries, it's too late. And I don't know how Mista is going to be able to push into the base and defend his at the same time.
It's really rough right now. But yeah, as Vodka is pointing out, no food income at all right now for Wham. There it is. That's where the keep is going up, but it's being scouted out.
And a Wolo pushes the villagers off, pushes the villagers around to the other side. Keep gets denied, and it is that awful position where Wam needs to transition to farms, but it's hard to do so. I believe Mista has been slow prepping outposts on his wood lines.
And the crossbows are coming around from the other side. Yeah, keep has to get cancelled now. Knights have to make their way out of this choke point. And a couple knights are going to be taken down.
Another villager goes, and so he actually sacrifices a few villagers and a scout. Only loses one knight throughout all of this, which, you know, to each his own. Wam definitely lacking in the numbers. The outpost does end up going. Oh no, Mangonel! Oh no!
That's the second shot that already hit. He lost a lot of archers there.
I was wondering how they were so low, and then I immediately looked south a little bit. It was the Mangonel, the spear brace too. That's double blunders by Wam back to back, and it goes from so good to so scary that fast.
He did get scouted by Mista. He doesn't know about that one. Wam is falling back to his keep back there. Gonna make it very hard for Mista to actually kill him. Is Mista gonna commit at this point in time? I feel like he smells blood in the water. And it looks like it is the case. Mista, he's diving the keep now. He's going for it. Crossbowman doing a lot of damage to all the units here from Wam. And it's right in the farm transition. And at the same time, Wam, he has no gold income. He has a lot of stone in the bank, but only one keep here to protect him.
And now all of his wood villagers are all away as well. All his wood, I believe, is getting denied. He's having to reposition, so that's during the farm transition. Going to be hard for him to be able to continue that farm transition. But the knights, they finally found the gold villagers. They found a smaller group, smaller battalion that they're easily going to be able to clear up.
Getting some value here, but the main army is just around the corner. Knights have to be very careful here.
Again, though, this stalls. This gives Wam time. This gives him just a little bit of breathing room. He's up 40 villagers. He can remass back up easily. He's regained a little bit of map control. He's already done a good bit of the farm transition.
Looks like Mista. He's had enough with all of these offensive building. Now it's going to be time for Rams. 3 Rams in the queue right now. Needs to get siege engineering though. Just making them from your siege workshops doesn't really work anymore. It's been nerfed heavily, the time that it takes to build a ram out of your siege workshop.
Spear still chasing those knights, still trying to close the gap. Wam is losing 1 or 2 here and there, but Mista's red army is all the way back on his side of the map now. His other medium-sized mass is somewhat kind of in the middle forward, right as...
Oh no! Oh no! He spots it! He spots it! The crossbow are right there!
Way early! This is it! This is what Mista needed. He will equalize the eco. Wam hasn't reacted to this yet. He's too distracted chasing the knights. Or too distracted with his knights microing him around.
It's gonna go up, but at what cost? So many villagers just went down there.
Oh, even gets the Mangonel shot, and Wam, he jumps inside right as it finished. I guess he had to commit. Thought he had to, and I guess, I mean, the villager difference, he's still up a good amount. It's just not that crazy difference that he had. Starting to take some decent army trades here with the keep support, with his arbs moving on forward. Knights still alive, circling and distracting. Maybe Wam knew exactly what he needed.
Maybe so, but now, I mean, farm transition has been made by Wam. He's finally starting to get some good food income. All of his units are discount. There are lots of keeps out, so production buildings on those keeps. Lots of cheap units coming out from Wam. Yeah, and he's still 30 villagers ahead, even though Mista killed 37.
Yeah, and one of the things you got to focus on is, yes, the army numbers might be favoring Mista. Wam has kept his knights alive and pretty healthy a lot of this time, so the value is still on his side because he has 20 royal knights.
Yeah, he did an excellent job just running around distracting that, and I mean, it was 45 spearmen constantly chasing these knights there around. It's just very tough. As the Mongols, you don't get the walls. You have to constantly be on your toes when it comes to these knights.
Yeah, and I mean, keep in mind, Mista, he's had no extra eco investment behind this. There's been no trade. There's been no additional TC. Yes, he has the step redoubt, but every villager he loses is just that much more important.
So right now, he wants to get a big mass up. Push in with Rams. Just needs a couple more. 3 out already. It's gonna get tough. Right now, Wam has 600 more food per minute than Mista. Mista does have 5 relics, though. That's a lot of gold that he's getting passively.
Wham, though, he's making the move. He's starting to push forward on top of the production, on top of the TCs. This time, his Knights have support. It might be the fight that he finally decides to take. Kiting back a little bit with his ranged mass, still delaying it up for a bit. But this is a fight that now is on the Mista side rather than on his.
Oh, Khan going down.
GG's in the chat.
Has to be. Behind that, looks like Wam is actually trying to go for Imperial Age here. If he gets Imperial Age, the Rams aren't going to be able to do a lot, because the Red Palace emplacement does a lot of damage to them.
Rams are starting to move forward. Imperial Age resources are in the bank for Wham. He's going to be able to go up. The Red Palace is on its way. Mista, though, he's taking the fight right as this is happening. The timing is perfect, but Wham, he's diving the gold, too. I talked about how important this was for his villagers to stay alive. Keeps being sieged down. There's fights all over the map. There's pings going on everywhere.
Yeah, and Wam, he's taking some really good fights here. Just these raids all around. He does have some idle villagers, 40 idols right now. But he's going to be in Imperial Age, and with that, it's pretty much impossible to raid Wam's base.
The Knights under Mrs. TCs finally decide to dive on the Vills instead of burning the barracks, so Mista might just look back, and he does look back and realizes it is over. Imperial Age for Wam is all he needed to see. And game number 1, Wham's able to get revenge for his brother.
And there we go. Villager count. We see that second TC play really, really paying off there for Wam. Mista, I feel like he had a timing window. Like, he had this huge mass of units, and he just didn't commit when he probably should have. And yeah, Wam playing this one so well. Always keeping his Knights active. Always making sure that Mista has to be on his toes. Wasn't able to really push into Wham's space with that, and yeah, Wham taking the first game here in the set.
Yeah, I felt like Mista, you're right. He had that timing, but Wham did such a good job with his Knights pressuring Mista to not allow him to take that timing. He had to respect the Knight mass, but his mass is immobile. He had to move the crossbows, chase back with the spears, and then all of a sudden 5 minutes go by and Wham's sitting fine and dandy.
Exactly. That's going to be the story of this match now. Next up on the agenda, we do have our game number 2 in this set, and it is going to be Regions, and we're going to be seeing French against the English here.
Yeah, it was definitely a exciting matchup. We saw this exact matchup on game number 5 here just a little bit ago, and definitely was an exciting game number 5 as French versus English. Always kind of in it, and English again. Empire Wars, a little bit more of this kind of feudal age aggressiveness that we've seen today. So let's see if Wham sticks with that as well.
Exactly. That was definitely a really nice play there that we saw last time from B. It'll be interesting to see how this gets played out by Wham. I think maybe Wham just goes for a 2TC kind of play here as well now, because Mista probably is going to go for a 2TC play. The question is, though, I mean, we've seen from Mista before that he's not opposed to 2TC, he's not opposed to 3TC, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8TC play. On this kind of map, could be interesting for sure. It's a map very much focused around map control. But if you get the guild hall up, then maybe you can afford going the extra mile until Imperial Age.
Yeah, he started game number 1 with a 1 TC, no economic, no macro investment really at all. It was just mainly, I mean, obviously some of the eco techs, but mainly just all for that 1 TC all in. Last week when he played against Puppy and some of the other matches that I saw, he had a similar strategy, a similar kind of idea. It was mainly 1 TC all ins, very, very aggressive tempo play styles that just didn't really allow your opponent to sit, relax, and boom up. And so it could be one of those that he tends to kind of lean towards the same strategy, but I do know he did put some practice in this week, as I saw him chatting in the EGC chat earlier today.
Yeah, he definitely did practice a good bit there. It's going to be interesting to see if it paid off here in this one. It's going to be regions there. We talked about it earlier as well. Regions, pretty unique map. Talked about how there are a lot of food resources on the sides and the corners, and being like one of the main benefits for English, having that really cheap farm transition, and yeah, having all of these resources out on the map that the French could go to and not have to go for farm transition could kind of play into the strengths here for the French.
Yeah, it's kind of, we saw the vulnerability last game where Wham almost kind of had this point where he had to make this farm transition and Mista could have punished it, wasn't able to do so, but there is that vulnerability. Except on this map, there's so many more food resources. You have the berries in one side, you have the deer in the other, and you obviously have those boars if you have the ability to take them as well, which I would not be too surprised to see Mista doing that early.
Exactly. Game number 2, just a couple of seconds away. Gotta be right in there. French was English. And looks like here we go. All
Yep.
right, there we go. Game number 2. We got the Mista in the color red playing as the French. We're here on regions, and on the opposite side, we got Wham in the color blue playing as the English, immediately opening up with the barracks. So we're going to be seeing men-at-arms coming out from Wham immediately. Looking at the spawn though from Mista, his gold is all the way in the back. It's also next to woodline, so it's going to mean that the men-at-arms are going to have to walk around a little bit, easily walled in as well. This is a really good spawn here for Mista.
Yeah, love this base if I'm on the side of the Mista. Wham doing the typical English play that we'll see right off the bat, dropping the barracks. They already got the farm, so they're able to produce the men-at-arms while still aging up. So the council hall's being dropped, and we're going to see this food income in the bank not really diminish because he has the vills to keep this up, keep this producing. The School of Cavalry going down for the Mista as well. Last time when we saw the men-at-arms, we saw Horseman pop out for B, and that was kind of his defense. But we'll see if the Mista are going to have a different idea. All it really takes is one night to really deny those men-at-arms early on.
Yeah. As good as the spawn is right now for Mista, if we take a look at the deer, they're kind of forward, they're kind of to the side, means the villagers are going to have to walk out a little bit here. And maybe this time we do see the English player in Wham taking a little bit more advantage of these early men-at-arms that he gets. I actually tried to like influence the placement of the second TC. If he gets it off the deer, maybe on the berries, that's already going to be a nice victory there for him.
And we've talked about second TC, and Mista just now is moving out onto the stone. So yes, it will indeed be a second TC, as 6 villagers moving on out is a key sign for that.
Yeah, it looks like Wham is doing the same thing though. Wham, with the English, also going for a second TC play here.
That kind of surprises me. I feel like we've kind of seen more of this feudal age investment for the English. The School of Cavalry finishes. It's all eco text for Mista. Every single one of them. It's just one single men-at-arms that's Wham's made. So we'll see what Mista's reaction is going to be to this. If he just respects it, makes one knight, makes a horseman, or just kind of pulls the villagers back as they take damage.
Stone Mine spawned in a good position there. TC is going to be in range. With that, Wham isn't going to be able to get a lot of value there with his men-at-arms, but his TC is going to be the first one to go up here. It's going to be over on gold, means his H-up is going to be pretty much secured.
Yeah. Builds that TC a little bit earlier, but Mista's, those TCs will work just a little bit harder, being the French. Just got enough to drop that TC, moving out over to the deer as expected. Great prime time positioning for that. And that first initial knight trying to locate where that men-at-arms is to, again, clean that up, make his side nice and easy.
Nice, use the knight in order to lure the deer in under his TC. Men-at-arms coming in, but only to seek his death from the looks of it. Isn't going to get any value out of that one. Man-at-arm goes down.
Doesn't even get over to the villager. Looks like he wanted to at least try to get some damage in before his death, and came to a sad demise. Now we have spears, though, which is the correct unit to make, and starting to move across the map early as Wham had his TC down early, so kind of just being able to make the transition into military a little bit quicker.
Yeah, question's now going to be, will we see an extended feudal age play from these players? I think Wham should probably be the first one to age up here to the next age. With the English, you always have the defensive bonus. Question is though, like, does he think that he needs to really play aggressive here? I think he can just be fine playing the eco kind of aspect in this one.
Yeah, and here comes the big military investment from Mista. Double production buildings being dropped, and I think his game plan is going to be more for this feudal age. He's the French. Naturally, you think extended feudal age, you lean towards, you know, wanting to be on the French's side. Your villagers are going to be producing a little bit faster. You're going to be having those royal knights that your opponent doesn't have access to, and English's main benefit is just the nicer food transition. As I say that, Wham is dropping that second set of farms in now.
Yeah, second farm cluster going up. That's going to be a lot of additional food income there for Wham. It's very nice the English, they spawn with that first farm in Empire Wars already completely surrounded by those farms. Gonna give them a nice eco boost here. Means that they're not going to be too quick when it comes to depleting their sheep. Also not too reliant on finding a lot of them. And Wham looks to just be happy with just massing his longbowmen inside his base. I think that's correct play. Now also getting some of his own eco upgrades. Was missing them for a while there.
Moving out to wall up the western side of his base. So just very, very condensed base for the English. They are known for walling themselves into a corner and then breaking out later on in the game. Whereas French, they're known for wanting to nickel and dime their opponent. Just continue to poke and prod whenever there's villagers, whenever there's any vulnerability. But English doesn't really have that vulnerability based off of this base layout so far.
Yeah, base layout definitely looking good here for Wham. Isn't even thinking about going for those deer. He's happy with just expanding onto his farm economy. At the same time, though, Mista, we look at his income right now. It's looking really, really good. Just a lot better than Wham's right now. That's because the deer early on just provides you with that big, big boost. And every time, like, they also gather up a bit quicker here with the survival techniques. Now we do see horticulture coming in. Additional upgrades coming in for Wham as well. Right now, food economy, though.
Mista moved to the boar as well.
Yeah, Mista really taking advantage here of all the resource on the map.
And this is just what you expect from the French player. Just take all the resources as English is walling themselves in, just trying to play in that defensive ball. Wham looks like he's deciding to move out. He did lose one of his scouts, actually both of his scouts it looks like, and so he has no vision. This is very scary being on the English side with no vision. That is literally your like main key because it allows your longbows to make sure they aren't out of position, and he has less spears than Mista has knights. This is not good. If Mista takes this, he wins this one easy.
Looks like both players are actually backing off right now. And 3 villagers out. One to get an outpost down in the middle in order to get that network of castles aura on his units. But yeah, isn't going to be able to go for 10 knights right now. The knights are outmassing the spearmen. And with that, additional barracks is being dropped right now by Wham. But look at that, Mista. He's aging up.
Aging up with having the higher army value, with being ahead, it feels like in every regards right now. And I don't know how. It just feels like his macro, I guess, has been super on point this game.
It's the investment. It's because Wham invested into a second farm cluster and Magic, not Magic, but Mista rather. He just went for all the resource on the map. Premium resource at that. The deer, the boar, they gather up so quickly.
And I love how even behind this, he's put some smaller investment into some walls. He's starting to gather stone again. So wouldn't even be surprised to see him go ahead and, how do you want to say this? Start dropping more TCs, and we might see the old Mista 5 TC play here.
Yeah, it's gonna be something like that. Looks to be a fast Imperial Age here. And we do see the standard play for Magic when he goes for that. He does have his... He's not putting his guild hall on stone or anything like that. Instead, he's putting it on food. He's going to be gathering up a lot of gold. And then, with one takeout, he's just going to get all the food out of the guild hall and immediately age up.
Knights are starting to move on forward. The upgrade has already come through as that upgrade comes so quickly. He's getting the cannoned saddles as well for that extra charge damage. And he sees a couple of the deer when they get killed out. But there's an outpost here for Wham already. Just a little bit of idle time will be the only damage done, and Mista will just fall right back on away.
Yeah, with the aura, that is still not a fight that he can take, even with the veterancy on the Knights. Archers out of position right now as well. On their way back to the main army, though. With that, I still feel like this is only going to be a feint, right? Because Mista isn't producing any military behind this.
Yeah. Hasn't created one single unit. It's just this like this pressure. Like when you're the English and you have knights circling your base, like you constantly look at that. We just saw 5 spears get queued on up. Like Wam has to respect this, has to have this feeling. Now he sees archers starting to move, and he's gonna start queuing up even more, I bet.
Oh, has to be careful, Longbowman. A little bit exposed here. Now we have that little bit of a micro dance here between the spearmen, the knights, and the archers. Just the aura though. Has enough to one-shot the archers.
Ooh, and Mista just started losing a ton of archers at the back end of that fight, so feeling like he needs to fall back on away. Moving out to a different gold vein here in the center. No keep drop yet.
Where'd the zone go?
That's what I'm wondering.
Oh, it's in the base. All right.
Wow, that's a very protected base now. It's around all of his production, though. So that was his key priority, is make all of that production that much cheaper and safer.
Mista is going to use his knights now. All additional units that he's going to be making are going to be heavily discounted from the French aura around that keep. Single spearman making sure that not a single villager goes down. That's a hero spearman right there. Never mind, villager does survive. All right. Yeah, actual hero
spearman. I mean, that's what happens when you try to charge through this one little tiny alleyway. If one spearman's able to block the whole alley, that's all that matters.
Yeah, I mean, that spearman definitely ate one burger too many there. But yeah, it worked out for him. He managed to hold the door. And yeah, with that, I mean, right now he still has the military lead. But right now, all the units that Mista is making, heavily discounted. Now he's getting a forward siege workshop. He's getting the gold from the middle. He's going to be vacuuming up resource on the map.
He's moving out to the western side deer. The thing I'm shocked about is the just now investing into the relic play, as this could just be such a huge benefit for the French over time, as they're such a gold heavy civ. He's dropping a forward siege workshop. He's got one outpost here, but the longbows, they outrange that outpost. Isn't quite able to pick up a villager there, but Mista is denied off of that forward gold.
And with that, relic gets snagged up by that monk. That's a lot of gold.
At the same time, by
yeah,
Wam.
There's a lot of gold that that Mista's getting right now. Let's take a look at the guild hall right now, because that's going to be the deciding factor of when Mista is going to be going up. 500 resources right now. I feel like in 1 or 2 minutes, he's going to take it all out and then go up. I think it's going to be like a 13 and a half minute Imperial Age.
Yep, still just circling with those knights. No pressure able to be made. More walls being invested into by Wam, and just has that slow infantry mass that English is known for. 30 spears and 27 longbows. The archer mass for Mista has not climbed up, and we will finally see a villager kill by the French and make it to... Nope, just one.
Spearman once again in position. Yeah, Wam right now, he's just being held a little bit too far back inside of his own base. He does have a big enough unit mass here in order to push out. We'll have to do so soon, because once Mista goes up to Imperial Age, it's just going to be keeps and TCs everywhere. And with that, Mista's going to start rapidly increasing his economy. Not that he really needs to, it's already at 100.
Yeah, the thing I'm scared for, though, is just Mista's gold control. Like, he has the outpost on these gold, but the outposts aren't that great against the English. If you lose a fight, he takes the fight, dives into the spearmen. Longbows have that support from the back line. Even a few crossbows here. There's some units just standing there watching, not helping too much, but Mista able to take a pretty solid trade. No network of castles here. And where did the spears of Wam go?
It feels like Wam didn't micro down the archers with his own longbowmen, and with that loses out on a ton of his own spearmen. I think some of the spearmen were also hitting the archers there.
Must have been. Has to fall back, has to regroup. Misses on either sides of this food, and so still has so much food. 1,200 in the guild hall, and no pressure able to be had on either of of those kind of food resource sites on the east and west that Mista's on.
Yeah, looks like Mista is proving me wrong right now, though. He's also making rams now. I'm still holding on to the idea, though, that this is all still just a feint. He's making a lot of knights, but I still believe that the Imperial Age is just around the corner for him.
Just keep your knights safe and secure. Just don't lose too many of them. Take efficient trades. Keep your opponent on the back foot, and eventually he can just click that guild hall, not for 1,200, but for 2,400.
Exactly. Would only need to hold production for a minute here to be able to go up. And once he's able to go up, just place the... Like, right now he has the map control. Just place the Red Palace right in the middle between those two gold mines.
And then forget everything I said about those outposts not being enough, because then you have the Red Palace, and the Red Palace is more than enough.
Exactly. And Mista, behind all of this, just vacuuming up the resources all on the map. I don't think he's even made a single farm yet.
Yeah, no
Never
need
mind.
to. Oh, well, even still, no need to really has the berries, has the deer still, burning a little bit of that wall, forcing Wham on back with his military. And again, it's just kind of going to be this stare down. Make sure Wham's respecting this play. And speaking of Imperial Age, Wham,
the
first
all
one.
right. This feels like a divine build right now with the Berkshire all the way back in the base, but this means that Wham is going to have access to the enclosures, meaning that he won't necessarily have to contest the gold mines in the middle of the map.
I still feel like it's a dangerous game giving that much gold to French, as well as not. I mean, English, yes, the enclosures is nice, but like it doesn't give you the ability to get all your Imp H upgrades. You need gold veins to have that much for upgrades and unit production. He's on spears and longbows, so he doesn't need any for that, but 700 gold for Imperial Age upgrades is a lot.
It is indeed. You can't survive with only the gold from your enclosures. It's gonna help you survive for a long time, and it's gonna help you a lot in the late game. But I think it's not gonna go to the giga late game. I think Mista is gonna be very set on finishing this one soon here.
Yeah, Red Palace not too far away, as you said, dropped it right in the center, controlling those 3 gold veins for himself. And I wouldn't be too surprised to start seeing him just drop TCs all over the place, because now they're just cheaper keeps.
Exactly. Heavily discounted in that regard. Shiv's coming out. Outpost getting denied. The monk is dancing around.
Yeah, and I love how he pulls the shivs out. He denies this outpost, but also he has proactively started to wall the west side of the map already, making it that much more difficult for Wham to go try to push this west side. And I'm sure he'll try to start, making some other wall segments throughout, just kind of deny any of this map for Wham.
But now also coming out here for Wham, so he is set on wanting to take down the keeps. The issue is, sure, the emplacements range has been nerfed on the Red Palace. It's only 9.5 now instead of 10. So keeps with the emplacement can, in theory, still get taken down by the bombards, or can get taken down by the bombards again. But the main Red Palace still has a range of 10 on both the emplacements as well as the main attack. So that means that bombards aren't going to be able to do anything to the Red Palace. You just garrison the villagers inside of it, or any unit inside of it, and it's going to one-shot these bombards.
And you know what's great against bombards? Knights. And you know what Mista has? 52 knights, bloodlines coming in as well. French's favorite upgrade. And he's having all that come in right as he's getting a massive pick on the spearman mass. He's been able to pick off maybe, I'd say 10 spearmen or so during this this wraparound that Wham was trying to attempt on the deer. So really, really good pickup. And oh, that is that's a night mass that can end the game at any point in time.
Yeah, I feel so too. I mean, this army here is nice from Wham and all, but you'll have to replenish it over and over again in order to actually take down these knights. It's just so many. Bombard now starts firing. There is the Network of Castles buff. Has it been upgraded to Network of Citadels? I don't think so. We have to check out the Berkshire here for that. Yeah, it's not upgraded.
Yeah, and you're supposed to have like double the spears compared to knights, not double the knights compared to spears. But Mista in a good position. You can tell that by the army value. The question is, when does he take this fight? When does he pull the trigger? As he's been watching, there's one knight just barely revealing himself, an archer revealing himself, going for the circle here. And it looks like he might be planning this soon. He's actually going for a little bit of a split here.
He's just gonna kill his eco. He's just gonna kill the eco, and Wam has to run back. Wam cannot leave those knights alone.
And if he runs back, you know what Mista's going to do? The other 30 knights step up onto the longbows, step up onto the bombard, and there goes his actual damage.
Oh god, this is gonna be a massacre here. Coming out now.
This is such a perfect play by Mista.
That's the options that you have when you just have so many knights. 72 knights, 74 more in the queue still. And the longbows are no match for these knights.
Yep, and the other group, they're just pulling the spears around, making them look like fools as they can't get anywhere. They can't get any damage done. And you know what's getting damage done? Mista on the front side. He doesn't care about the Berkshire. He is damaging eco. He's killing more military. Villagers moving out to the front side. No!
Lots of villagers going down there. Paling's coming in.
And the knights wrap around for the circle on the longbows to make the full circle and no more longbows. The number's at 6 and still falling. More villagers dying on the eco. Wam looks to be falling as well here in this game number 2 as this timing by Mista. So patient, so methodical here.
Antonius get taken down as well. Army value. 4 times in favor of Mista here. These knights are absolutely incredible, and look at that. Actually, I think Mista deleted his archers. He has no archers remaining. It's all knights.
Oh, I mean, and there's still knights on the backside on top of the King's Palace. There's not enough units to deal with this many knights for Wam. He has to respect this. He can't do anything. He can't hold this to Berkshire. It only does so much. And look at his idol. Look at his damage now. 54 villager kills, 56. We're about to be at the 60 mark in just a blink of an eye.
Man, even if Wam was to take down all of the military at once from the Mista, he still wouldn't be able to attack him at all because of the red palace emplacement.
Yeah, it just takes so much time, so much to transition into. Mista's eco behind this, just untouched. He's still on the berries. He's still over on deer. He could take the boar if he wanted to. And I mean, this is just full on control. Rams coming in. That is going to be the true game ender. That's going to be the one that starts to take down buildings, starts to take down more than just villagers and military. Oh.
God. They're just running around. It's so hard for these spearmen to catch up.
Yep, 80 knights still circling, only 56 spears on the side of Wam. Mista could just take this engagement straight up if he wanted, but no need to. He can just still continue to push and pull. Rams on different sides of the map, denying the gold from the relics, denying production. Wam is starting to hurt and has been hurting.
71 spearmen. I mean, this has to be enough in theory, but it's still more knights and spearmen at this point in time, which is crazy to think about. And with royal bloodlines, I don't think Wam had the resource to go for elite army tactics here in this one. So his spearmen also aren't as strong.
Yeah, he never had that gold. That's what I mentioned earlier. Like you have the gold to.
He actually did get it. Never mind.
Oh, okay. Still,
at this point, he needs stone
trickle
walls.
the upgrades, though. You can't get all the upgrades you need before these bigger fights. And yes, he does need a lot more than stone walls. The bombard upgrade in the tower going to start taking down the villagers on that wood line. Mista just taking the engagement versus the spears, not a care in the world. And there's the TC plays like we were mentioning. It's just like a keep, but less resources. You might as well drop it. More knights circling around the backside. Spears can't even really break off to deny the TC, because if so, the knights get free charge, the knight gets free damage.
Once again, 2 knight groups, one raiding, the other distracting the main army here. Taking fights occasionally. TC did go down. Spearmen are fighting.
TC. The villagers pulling out the shivs, helping on out. Mista doesn't care. He knows he's got the lead. The other knights are circling, and the spears on the front side get surrounded by these knights and get obliterated. And on the back, Wham still taking damage, still getting circled. I mean, this is just he's gonna have nightmares.
Yeah, and this isn't it. Mista still has an ace up its sleeve. It's a Reboldican that's in the queue right now for Mista. You force your opponent into mass spears. What's going to take down mass spears? Archers? You don't want to make archers. You're making Reboldicans here.
Yep, back on the more of the farm. And this isn't just farms now. This is the gold that Wham has. So even though he's not really using it for anything, it's just spears. The only thing he's building right now is spears, spears, and spears. And that is not a good long-term goal.
Shout out to moreknights.com right here. Mista, definitely a subscriber.
Yep, Knights circling around the front side. This is reminding me of I feel it was like a Shiki versus Faye, like hour and a half, 2 hour game where Shiki only made Knights.
That was a glorious one.
Mista finally able to take the dub. Wham gives up, going ahead, moving into game number 3. We are in yet another tied up series.
Man, what a game. What a game. And Jesus, that was a lot of knights. We had a lot of knights there. And it's insane thinking about it, because the villager graph, we look at it, it's pretty even there. But Mista, vacuuming up all the resource on the map, was able to just pump out so many goddamn knights. And they absolutely wreaked havoc there on Wham's economy, on Wham's military. Just not being able to catch up on them. I feel like that's really where he needed Stonewalls, because he's just not able to really deny these raids, or rather catch up to these units and get them out of his base, if only he's making infantry.
Yeah, the Red Palace control in the middle, and that also allowed Wham, or forced Wham, to focus in on the center, focus in on the gold control. And what did Mista do? The perfect knight split. Had about 30 knights for the backside. You have to respect 30 knights with Royal Bloodlines, Imperial Age, and it takes a lot to deal with, and it's hard for English to deal with that. So stone walls was really the only thing that could have prevented any of that, and just no ability to do so by Wham. So what a great game plan. What a great game number 2.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like Wham, he probably had a really good chance there. There were times where he had the upper hand when it came to military. There was one fight that he took where I don't think he microed his longbowmen against the archers, and he suddenly lost like a lot of his spearmen. He had like 40 spearmen, 22 longbows, and he lost it versus like 10 knights and 20 archers. Yeah, I think if he just microed better there and then just takes a foothold in the middle, because you can't let French have that gold in the middle. It's 24,000 gold that you're giving over there. But yeah, we're going to be seeing our game number 3 here. It's going to be in Kawasan. We're going to be seeing the English coming out from Mista, and for Wham, it's going to be the Chinese.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of variety of civ choices on Kawasan, which is a cool, I would say a cool testament to the map. I would say very similar strategic openings, at least from these civilizations, though. Typically, we'll see docks on both pawns, and then it's kind of like you try to drop this like middle forward dock, get some emplacements, start kind of denying your opponent's sides, try to take control of a full pawn for yourself. Question is can you end up doing that? Or will it just be 15 minutes straight of fight and battling over the pawns to eventually have eco behind it come to fruition?
Could be. Now, the English, I mean, they don't necessarily need to win the water on water. They also have the options of making other units in order to take down water units. They're longbowmen, excellent at taking down ships as well. But we're seeing Mista here. We're seeing the Mista, and he's no stranger to unorthodox gameplay. Maybe instead of a council hall in Empire Wars, we could be seeing an Abbey of Kings.
I would be appalled if we saw an Abbey of Kings, especially with what you had just mentioned. Longbows are so strong and just denying water.
Make longbows, but just imagine, you both of you contest water. Meanwhile, Mista, he gets this free, not free, but he gets this discounted night out, which costs a little bit less, and heals himself, and you just send that guy into the woodlines every now and then, and suddenly you're eking out an advantage on the water there.
Yeah, I mean it is a great point. And then if any of your units that you actually build up on the land, if you do decide to do some men at arms play in the Dark Age and go into Abbey, well, your men at arms can always just pull back, get healed up to full. I feel like we're just talking about the Abbey, and it's just again, it's still a pretty memey landmark. So I'd be appalled if we saw it.
It's a water map. You're gonna be on wood anyways. What's 2 archer range? That's less than 2 galleys, right? So it's nothing. It's nothing. It's pocket change. The English can afford it. They're getting chips cheaper as well. So um, it's definitely something that could happen. But yeah, I agree. It's the council hall just offers so much value, not just in the feudal age, but later on in castle age as well. You immediately have 2 archer ranges to produce crossbows from if you need them. If your opponent rushes up the castle age, you will want to have some units which deal well against armored units.
Yeah, and it's just I've seen so many times where just a few longbows can just be the huge difference in a game. And if you don't respect a few longbows, well, all of a sudden there's going to be a lot of them, and so much for counter units. As it's kind of like the Chukanu, where it's like you get enough of them, and they're going to take down any unit that you send their way. You kind of just have to wait until you have a big enough mass, or you just have mangonels is the only thing it can help.
Exactly. Just gonna be a little bit until we're getting into our next game. Fellas, don't forget, we do have our Empires at War community support goal. Other than helping us out on Twitch, you also have the ability to support EGCTV over on Patreon. Now, let's get into our game number 3 in our third set of the day. The Mista versus Wam. We're about to go over to Kawasan, and there we go. Over here in the color red, we have him, the one and only Mista, playing as the English. On the opposite side, playing as the Chinese, we got Wam01, and I know Wam, he doesn't like China, or rather, he used to not like China. Now we're seeing him play China in a tournament, Empire Wars. So maybe he changed his opinion a little bit on them. Maybe he has what it takes in order to abuse their strengths.
I mean, sometimes you start out as a China hater, and then you learn to love them and learn to, as you said, abuse their strengths, learn to kind of play to their strengths and utilize it for your own good rather than just for hate.
Exactly, and there we go. Dog coming up from Wham. Doesn't look like there's a dog coming up from Mista yet. He's investing into his own men-at-arms early on here. And Barbican also being built by Wham at the same time.
Yeah, just this nice defensive Barbican on the front side of his base, front side of his gold. So not going to be easy for longbows if they wanted to pressure the base to get all the way across through the center, get to a spot to pressure, because the Barbican, pretty big landmark and pretty good positioning point for that. Mista circle around with the scout. If it were any other civ that started with sheep under their TC, that would be a dead scout. But fortunately, just those hand cannon shots that have a high base damage.
Have that outpost play in the middle. That's going to give Mista a lot of information about unit movement out on the map. Barbican about to go up, and Wham is going to be in time in order to get a galley out on his water side. So isn't going to have to worry too much about these men-at-arms.
Yeah, and it wasn't that double dock opening this side by either player. It was just a single dock by Wham, and it was that quicker feudal age by him as well. The council hall's on its way, and Mista looks like he's just planning on that typical feudal age gameplay. He's already has a good baseline of men-at-arms massed up. No damage able to be done because of that Barbican placement that I was mentioning. And now it'll be longbows starting to be the high damage unit, and most likely a few spears to support potentially.
Exactly. Galley also being made right now for Wham. Wants to make sure this opponent won't have an easy time when it comes to docking his side of the water. That way he's going to be able to secure his food economy here. Men-at-arms trying to get access into the base of Wham are going to find a little wall there. Gonna have to walk all the way around. Looks like they're going for it though, and a villager from Mista as well, dropping another outpost there behind the woodlines. This is the correct play. This is what you want to do against the Chinese. You want to control their wood. Building outposts behind the woodlines, upgrading them, and then like getting line of sight, getting vision on those villagers. That's key. That is exactly how you punish the Chinese.
Yeah, and you know what's great at getting some vision? Just throwing in a few men-at-arms or having that scout circle on around. So the next outpost, if that goes up, that's the two main wood lines of Wams denied. Very, very scary situation. Especially when you consider now's when the military's starting to head towards his base. He needs to start massing the chooks, and chooks cost wood.
Wood, food, and gold, but most importantly, like, jukes are not the correct unit here to make against the English. Not anymore, at least. The opponent, he's making longbows. Now, sure, longbows are slow, but they have a lot of range. Jugonoos do a lot of damage, but they have very little range and they are slow. Longbows are going to be able to kite them for a long time before they get into range.
And this might just be that lack of Chinese knowledge like you were mentioning. You know, obviously, you know the civilization when you play against them. There's still a slight difference when you play as them. It takes a lot of knowledge to know all these different matchups, what you can and can't do. And with this many men-at-arms, this many longbows already, Wham's kind of starting to put himself in this scary situation as this mass building up quite quickly. 1 TC all in looks to be the play from the Mista. Hasn't even looked to try to deny the dock or the water play yet.
Yeah, so water economy looking good here for Wham. Also with the Song Dynasty is going to start getting a good villager advantage on land as well. He's gathering right now from the sheep, but doesn't have a mill yet, so not going to get any bonus tax here.
And he's trying to, it looks like he's trying to like push out, potentially get some vision with the chooks. Already has ranged armor coming in for either player, which I feel like is more important for the Mista. The Mista's going to get to this point where the longbows, they're going to be able to snipe down the chooks, but the chooks, if they get on top of any damage, they just do so much with their 3 shots, and the ranged armor is 3 times more important.
Exactly. Getting that ranged armor, very important against the Shuganu. Mass continues to build, but the men-at-arm count, it's rising. 9 men-at-arms out on field right now. And the Shuganus, as good as they are, they're not going to be able to do too much damage to the men-at-arms. It's only going to be 1 damage with every single shot. That means if the archer count is great behind it, Longbowmen are going to be able to finish off the Shuganu before the men-at-arms die.
And now we finally see the outpost upgrade coming through. We're starting to see that wood line get a little thinner, and the scout is circling to give the outpost the vision that it needs as well. And so this is that prime time positioning point for Mista to start punishing Wham's overall economy, his overall positioning point now. It cuts off his water for 1, and he has enough longbows to probably like 2-shot that galley at this point.
Galley is getting some shots on the men-at-arms, but we can see the armor. It's not going to do a lot of damage here.
There's the reposition on the wood line already. The outpost is coming to play. The chooks are starting to just push up towards that, it looks like. The longbows, though, they take a good amount of damage from that galley shot. They need to step forward towards that outpost as the chooks, they do so much damage. Yes, that is an outpost they are taking down, and those are range units.
Every single shot doing 1 damage. If you just fire enough, it's gonna work. And Longbowmen have to fall back here. They can't really kite. If they kite, then the Shuganu are able to catch up. With the numbers there, catching up, killing all of these longbows could be deadly for Mista. Just has to keep on running for now.
Yeah, I feel like Mista had a good positioning for a second, but never really denied water. Never really got to the point where he really did damage and had eco denial or damage, but now we see it. Siege engineering coming through. He is getting ready to just start dropping some rams and fully committing to this all in.
Yeah, outposts everywhere on the map now, all around the base from Wham, and that means that Mista, wherever he fights, he's gonna have the aura for his unit. It's gonna be able to do a lot of damage. It's just Shuganu right now for Wham, and he does have the unit advantage, or rather the unit mass advantage. Army value, though, in the lead for Mista, and the Shuganu, they're not going to be able to really trade out that well against the army composition here from Mista.
No, the men-at-arms, they soak up so much damage. Like, yes, the chooks can take them down, but with the longbows on the backside, the trades are just so much better for the Mista here. As you can already just see the numbers quite quickly falling. There's like 1 red body on the ground. There's like 3 or 4 blue ones.
Exactly. Shuganu definitely not the answer in this composition. I feel like the Chinese in this matchup, they really have to aim for the Castle Age, because in Feudal Age, in a prolonged Feudal Age, the English civilization just has the lead when it comes to the units, and now we see Mista trying to push it in. Gets the first ram up, second ram probably following right after, and with that, he's gonna have the siege that he needs in order to push past the Barbican.
The problem, though, is that Chook mass is getting to the point where you have to full dive or not at all. And I think you almost want a third ram here playing against the Chinese, playing against that Chook mass and the villagers that the Chinese can have, because the rams, by the time the first one hits the Barbican, if the Chooks focus it, it's not going to be there anymore.
Yeah, Zhiganu able to do a good amount of damage to rams as well. 27 longbows, 23 men-at-arms. They're going to be enough in order to take down all of these Zhiganu, I feel like.
Here we go. The third ram is being built. The two rams arrive at the Barbican. First little bit of fire comes on in, and it was only from about a third of those units, but good amount of damage still. Scout gets taken out before it is able to jump back inside the ram, and the men-at-arms are pressing forward. It is a full commitment here by the Mista, and he is in the range of his network, so this is a perfect fight for him. He's diving in on the Barbican. He's got the ram support, and the men-at-arms soaking that damage on the front side.
Zhiganu's starting to kite back, but look at the bodies. It is so many dead Zhiganus here right now. And arms getting focused down. Oh no, the Zhiganus, they're walking forward. Walking forward, but they're losing so many.
Numbers still staying pretty strong here by Wham, not quite losing as many as I would expect. The men-at-arms number mass in the front still staying somewhat okay. Barbican about to finally fall. Next round of ram shots will do it, and Wham now is getting to the point where the numbers are falling faster. Villagers were pulled, but villagers were pulled too late. Wasn't quite quick enough. The first landmark falls. The Rams are going to be able to keep pushing, and the longbow support is still here for the time being. It's kind of like this hard reset. Wham, though, he's ahead 15 eco after this.
Yeah, Wham is going to be ahead 15 eco, but he doesn't have the food income in order to continue this up. Look at Mista. He's over 1,000 food per minute right now. Wham only sitting at 600. He's not going to be able to keep this up for long.
After this village goes down, he needs to be building the village behind this, or else he will end up getting pop capped. The three rams, they're still healthy. They're just going to continue this mayhem, continue just demolishing anything in their path. Village on fire. And there it is, the pop cap for Wham by 20 units right now.
And more houses getting taken down as well. And Wham, he just doesn't have the kind of units that he needs in order to win against these longbows.
There's the fourth ram being built. Longbow still on the backside with some support, and men-at-arms building the ram on the backside, and Mista just remassing back up again. The Chooks are great, but not when they're hitting men-at-arms and they're having longbows kill them. The numbers are just going to fall so much quicker.
So tough for China right now. We don't have Zhuji's legacy yet with the early palace guards, and yeah, you definitely need something like that in order to combat against the composition that Mista has here right now. It's so many longbowmen, so many men-at-arms, still more streaming across the map.
And Rams going back in for another fight right on top of the houses, on top of the production, and could potentially go ahead and go for the landmark victory. There's two landmarks left. They're both right in sight, both front and center. It's the Imperial Palace and the good old TC.
Now, another ram being built and an outpost wants to further spread the aura. That network of castles. We're up to 70 Zhiganu again, but I still don't feel like it's enough in order to win a fight here. The Longbowman can still just kite back. Zhiganu pushing in.
Men-at-arms deciding to be that frontline mass again. Villagers are pulled, longbows attacking. This time, though, no network of castles, and this is actually a huge difference here for the Mista, not having the network. Men-at-arms jump inside the rams. Chooks still kiting back again. 14 more Chooks in the queue, and the archery ranges going down is so key, so crucial during this.
But Wham, he's not able to take down the men-at-arms quick enough. Every single archer volley, it's like 2 Zhiganus going down. Meanwhile, the Zhiganus, they need like 3 spread volleys in order to take down some of these men-at-arms. And it's just more men-at-arms flooding in right now. Look at that, and so many dead bodies.
outpost finishes as well, so the network of castles back online. Even when the men-at-arms fall, Mista doesn't care because the longbow number just keeps climbing, keeps getting higher and higher, which just means more chooks will continue to fall faster. Benefits all for him. More ranges falling, harder for Wham to remass up, and Mista is looking to close this game number 2, even having a 30 villager deficit.
30 eco units behind. Doesn't matter. 14 villagers idle for Wham as they are in the TC, trying to provide that little bit of extra damage here. Doesn't feel like it's enough, though. The flood, it's just continuing on and on and on.
I feel like Wham almost needs this like frontline massive of his own, but it's like, does he have the food to do that? No, he doesn't have the transition, doesn't have the economy that he needs for it.
He needs an age up. I think Wham's only chance here is to go for an age up, go for castle age. Just, you get another landmark, you put it in the back, that way you don't get immediately killed if you lose the landmarks on the front side. You go for the clock tower, you get like 1 to 2 nests of bees out, then you'll be fine. Then you'll be able to hold. Your Jugono are able to body block for them against the men-at-arms.
You made it sound so easy, but it's just not that easy. That being said, Wham has taken the other lake, a little bit of a secret spot back there. So he has some extra fishing, so that's where his food's coming from. If Mista just denies the ponds, that's Wham's food eco. That's Wham's
whole
heart.
Making it sound easy.
He's got
in theory,
5 rams.
It's just a ram. Yeah, he could just send the rams, and it looks like he's doing that. Oh my god, if the rams just take down the dock, the entire top pond is gonna go idle.
And what is that, 20 fishing boats up there, it looks like? I mean, Wham doesn't have, he has a berry patch behind him, but other than that, he can't get food, which means no more units, no castle age, like you were mentioning. He's on to Mista, pressing towards that other wood line that Wham had to move over to, and takes down an Imperial official.
Wham. He's got 77 Jugunu out right now. He's definitely a Jugunu believer. But I think he's Jugunu belief for too long here, because the archer mass, the longbows, they're in the 40 count. There's 27 men-at-arms as a meat shield. And with the aura, there's just no way for the Jugunu to catch up and really get on top of these longbows.
Yeah, I mean, look at that when he was just kiting out right there. I'm pretty sure Mista took down 5 to 10 units right there and didn't lose a longbow. Wasn't even able to fire any shots on the other side. 6 rams heading towards the landmarks, and Wham has to respect this or he loses. And, I mean, taking the fight here, it still means death.
Yeah, definitely. Now the men-at-arms are closing in. Longbows not kiting, Jugunu not kiting here. Taking a lot of damage there from the men-at-arms. Now kiting backwards. Landmark going down.
Second down. It's just the TC left. That will be the last one until victory calls. Villagers will need to be pulled. 6 rams take down a TC quite quickly. Duke's still just firing on that front side. Villagers are pulled, torches in hand, but longbows are here. Men-at-arms are still here. Wham has military numbers for the time being. 1 ram's pulled back, trying to get around to the other side. They're getting burnt pretty quickly. Chooks are even helping here during this. Wham tries to hold. Wham has to hold this to live. Just has to extend this game a little bit longer. And it looks like he's going to.
Rams got taken down. Men-at-arms got taken down. Wham's still alive.
What a hold here by Wham. He is still alive. He's still breathing. And can continue this on.
Yeah, Wham is still alive in this one for now. Looks like Mista, though. 5 more rams coming in.
I mean, Wham needs to rebuild these landmarks, needs to either potentially push out while they're building these rams, get vision of this, but there's this line of outposts that Mista pushed up with is so annoying. Chooks, though, able to do decent work of them pretty quickly.
To be so careful. The TC, it's not fully repaired yet. Needs to pull more villagers on that. Either that or finally go up to the next age. If he just gets that next age up in, the pressure from needing to keep that alive, if you then supervise, it could happen. It could happen. Just sell the wood. Sell. Yep. Yeah. All right. Wham! Make me proud. Do it.
He's about to do it now. Just needs the food. Astronomical clock tower. 53 villagers. You think he needs this fast? I think he does.
That's gonna go up quickly.
The TC, it's almost down. He didn't even fully rebuild it. He's just given up on it. He's repositioning to the north, and there's Castle H. He just knows, just continue to extend this game. This is his hope. The Chook upgrade would be so crucial because then the Men-at-Arms, there it is. The Men-at-Arms are no longer this crazy tanky front line as they kind of start melting like butter.
And the 7 Rams here, they're gonna get taken down now. The issue is though, Mista, he's also gonna be able to go up to the next stage soon. And sure, right now the Men-at-Arms would die like butter, but as soon as Mista gets up, he's gonna be able to research the armor-clad upgrade, and with that, probably Wam is gonna have the lead then.
Yep, the 6 Rams though still doing a great job kiting back and forth. King's Palace is on its way. It will take some time. Wam needs to push forward. Wam's pop capped right now.
Yeah, it's definitely gonna have to take a fight there. King's Palace now coming in, armor-clad. If he gets armor-clad, he's gonna be able to take some good fights again against the Jugunu. Also gonna be able to get the upgrade on the Men-at-Arms, meaning them having more HP. Bonus HP is like the direct counter to the Jugunu. Counter stat.
We finally see a couple of the boats go down. I feel like Mista could have just taken out the docks quite a big long time ago, and Wam would have been struggling a lot more than he was, and that's hard to say because it was a crazy all-in push there by the Mista. Wam barely held, but now he's the aggressor. Forget all the towers that were invested into. Mista has straight had to fall back and just run tucked tail towards his base.
Mista getting all the important upgrades though. Man-at-Arms upgraded, Longbow upgraded, armor being researched as well. Milt's getting taken down the middle. Looks like there was some berry gathering going on.
Yeah, that one mill was very specifically, that one had to die. It was in a not great position there.
Nest of bees are in Q. Okay, never mind. Cancels the nest of bees. Never mind. Q's the nest of bees again. He doesn't have the population space for him, so it's gonna take a while for them to get out. It's definitely gonna need him though.
Able to get a little bit more damage on these outposts as he's falling back. Loses a couple chooks, but those immediately get replaced. Remember, he's pop capped. He's fine with that. He needs to deny these outposts, though. Deny the network of castles, because then this fight is actually a good one to take. But for now, still very difficult, very tough for him, because Mista has gotten some of those ranged armor upgrades, has gotten some of those necessary ones that you were talking about. Could allow the Nest of Bees to come out and support.
Villagers getting down. He needs to fall back. And the Rams are there immediately to take that Barbican down again, and a Barbican just doesn't do enough damage here.
Yeah, not as helpful as it seems. The Men-at-Arms are still there, still just being that frontline support. You can't, the Chooks, they're just being A move. They're not micro, and they're not killing the longbows at all. They're just trying to kill that frontline tank and then move on to the back line. But look at how quickly that number just dropped. It went from 80 down to 40 in the blink of an eye. Nest of Bees, though, arrives. Crossbows starting to help as well, and once the crossbows are there, then the Men-at-Arms actually start getting killed a little bit quicker.
Behind this, Mista taking map control, walling in those large gold mines towards the top side. It's going to be securing those.
Ram Micro going right back in again, wants to take this fight. Nest of Bees surrounded by the ranged units. Those Men-at-Arms, they can't get there. They're trying to get there. You can tell by the pathing, but they can't at all. So the Nest of Bees just fully, perfectly protected by Wam. Yes, the Barbican goes down again, but Wam still trying to hold this, trying to extend this game.
A lot of wood was used to repair the Barbican. Nest of B needs to turn around, needs to try and get some more shots against these longbows. It's still a lot of Rams out there. 6 Rams constantly pushing in.
Yeah, I feel like Wam still just hasn't been able to thin out this army mass enough, especially when you compare it to the losses that he has been taking. He was just pop capped a little bit ago. Now he's sitting at 120 units. No armor clad through all of this, which is a crazy oversight. Those Men-at-Arms could have been much tankier.
villagers from Wam getting found out towards the bottom. They were trying to get gold there. I'm preparing for it. Actually, getting an outpost up there might be fine. Never mind, there's going to be man-at-arms as well.
Yeah, there's some reinforcing units, and I mean, Wam can't get down to actually protect these villagers, so those villagers will all end up falling eventually. Or not. Mista just pulls back on away, doesn't care too much.
Not enough man-at-arms there. And now, Mista, he doesn't want to play a siege game, or rather, he will play the siege game. 3 Sprinkles in queue, 1 already on the field.
Yeah, he doesn't want Wam to play the siege game. He wants him to be the one in control, and so that's where the Sprinkles will do exactly that. And you do need extra Sprinkles against Chinese due to that clock tower. Wam clearly trying to get a keep down. I think I saw about 40 villagers on that stone up on the north side. He's trying to go to the walled out gold. No.
Oh, he could go for it. He could still burn through rather quickly. The issue is that at the same time, like, can you realistically go for this?
I'm not sure if you can.
I feel like you need to keep in your base. Somewhere nearby your base.
It's 71 units to 26, and there's only 1 nest of bees out, as you just mentioned. Mista has Sprinkles. And the Sprinkles, if they take out the nest of bees, there's no way Wam can hold this. All Mista needs to find out where the last landmark is, and I'm pretty sure he can just end the game.
For all of the fishing ships that Wam has, the food income for him is really miserable.
And there goes Nest of Bees fires in play. The Sprinkles starting to push up. Longbows just non-stop firing on everything in their path. Don't care if it's a lumber camp. Don't care if it's an actual unit. The Sprinkles, though, they find the Nest of Bees. And immediately, 2 shots go down. Villagers rebuilding it, though. 1 Sprinkle gets taken out because a nest or a Sprinkle pops out of the clock tower. And the Nest of Bees finally falls. The villagers that were pulled start getting taken out as well. Wam all of a sudden finds himself at a villager deficit in this game. An eco deficit, I guess I should say, since it's not just villagers for him up at the top, and 40 villagers are idled. He can't do anything now. Mista has ended game number 3. It's 2-1 Mista after that wild Kawasan game.
Man, what an intense back and forth, and the Jugunu only just not working out for the Chinese player here. The English, with the Lumberman, with the man-at-arm composition, just too strong. The push never really stopping. It was just non-stop aggression coming over, and sure, Wham had the water economy, but that really didn't help him a lot here, I feel like.
Yeah, you can see when he started losing the villagers. Yeah, he had the water eco, like you said, but he just never was able to deny that English ball, never really able to thin it out and build up enough of his own, and just not able to turn the tides there on the game number 3. But the series is not over. It is a best of 5, and it could be yet another series today going into a game number 5. But first, he's got another wall to climb. It is going to be game number 4, and we'll see what's in store for us here in just a second.
Exactly. Gonna be seeing just what civilizations will be in it. And it's gonna be Ottomans versus the Abbasid dynasty here on Basin.
Okay. So Wham on the Abbasid. I know that's a very comfort civ for him. It's a civ that we've talked about being very strong in Empire Wars, but we've seen Auto a lot, and I feel like Auto just has that tempo, has that ability just to have so many units out on the field. You have to respect it, and it's almost like just that much more exponentially worse when it comes to Empire Wars, where all of a sudden you blink and they're at 100 units out.
Yeah, exactly. Basin. I mean, could we potentially? Nah, I mean, trade is an option. I'm wondering about the Abbasid play on Basin. What the plan is behind that. But I think it's just gonna be standard, like 3 TC kind of play. Against Ottomans, probably more like 2 TC military wing. And then just try to get up. And once Abbasid gets up, they can get a lot of really strong technologies with the composite bows and also make their own siege forward. So their own forward siege is going to be quite nice against the free siege from the Ottomans. And yeah, that could be the kind of strategy that Wem is going for here.
Yeah, we saw the ability to build forward siege working really well against the Ottomans in the demo game earlier, where he was immediately able to just drop the Springled when he needed it to able counter out any mangonel that pops out from the MIA. Could end up being the same this game. Obviously, if Wham's able to get up to Castle Age quickly without any sort of eco damage, he's going to find himself in a very comfortable, solid positioning point, as that's where Abbasid just know and love to find themselves.
Exactly. Just a couple of seconds left until we go into our next game. It's going to be match point here potentially for Mista. And yeah, I mean, Wham, he definitely has to give his all here if he wants to win this one.
Yeah, he was able to take one game off so far. It is going to be game number 4 starting here. Will Wham be able to turn the tides to get ourselves into another 5th game series, or will Mista just be able to move along and take down another one of the Canadian bros?
We will see, and there we go. Wham. On the other side playing as the Bassett, and here we have Mista playing as the Ottomans in the color red, opening up once again, not just with the free military school, but also immediately going for that barracks. So wants to be able to upgrade his Spearman as well and potentially add a couple additional ones there as well. And we see the Abbasid here. Why they're probably one of the better civilizations on in Empire Wars. They immediately start with their Golden Age. They have a ton of additional buildings, and they actually start with the market in the Dark Age.
Yeah, I think that market could come into play if the trade posts were a little bit more in prime positions. Obviously, here on base, and they're a little bit more central here with this map layout that we can see. So trade wouldn't quite be optimized, but doesn't mean it couldn't end up happening. Culture Wing being invested into again by the Abbasids, kind of what we have been seeing as eco upgrades are all the more important when you start out with this many more villagers.
Wham trying to pull the boar onto Spearman. It's going to get at least one hit with the boar. It's probably going to run away before the second one. Yep, but gets one in.
But the animals are on his side, as not only is it the boar, those wolves were being kind of pesky and annoying as well. And, you know, just a little bit of extra damage on those spearmen means a lot when it comes to spearmen on spearmen wars, because once you lose that first one, that can just be the snowball effect.
Exactly. Wham also having his own spearman. Does have an answer to the spearman from Mista. It's like Mista is turning around back to his own base now. Wham. Already sending villagers over to stone. Even cancels the outpost there. Knows that he's not going to have any need for it. Seeing how the spearman had to run back. Looks like it's just going to be Culturing 2TC play here from Wham. Culturing makes me think that his transition to Castle Age is going to be a very quick one.
Yeah, and it looks like Mista, that's, with that many vills on stone, it's not just getting another couple military schools down. That's another TC investment for him as well. So he doesn't want to fall behind on that eco game.
2TC Ottoman versus 2TC Abbasid. Usually you'd expect the Abbasid to have one more TCs there. Culture Wing, though, not giving any immediate bonuses to the ability of Abbasid to put down TCs.
Yep. And now we're just kind of seeing that scouting happen. Whenever these earlier timings happen, obviously it's super early, pre 3 minutes, but you really want to see what your opponent has planned. Are they doing 2? Are they doing 3? Are they matching your TC? Are they 1 TC all inning? Wham needs to figure this out to know how to game plan next.
I like this play from Wham. He waited until he got the upgrade in from his House of Wisdom to get cheaper text from then on out. Immediately use every single eco upgrade.
Yeah, I mean, that makes perfect sense with the Culture Wing coming in. It's so cheap. They come through nice and quick, and once they're all online, all of those villagers are just working so strong, combined with that Golden Age ability as well.
Exactly. For now, Wham still has the lead when it comes to the Spearman. Sipahi also going to get countered out by the Spearman. No deviation in the composition yet for Mista.
Yeah, just kind of continuing to push on forward. Spears almost able to get that scout, but Mista just knows just the fine line to barely be able to move, barely be able to stay out of that damage range.
So TC has also come in for Mista. Is Wam gonna spot that out? Looks like he's turning back for now. But Wam is gonna spot the stone here soon enough with the scout on the right-hand side if he goes a little bit further. If he does, if he will see the stone mine, he will know that his opponent also went for a second TC, but looks like it's just gonna be a castle age play from him now. Already having the food pretty much for it, just needs a little bit more gold, and he'll be able to click up.
And I think Wam knows that it's a 2 TC play, because at this point, when you're pushing across the map against an Ottoman, if they don't have a second TC at this point, they usually have like 20 units. There's not that counter out of a ton of units. We actually see a stables potentially being denied here by those spears. And so a great job here delaying this, potentially denying it, and does deny it. And this is all while Wam, look at the resources, about to click up, and there it is. Military wing is on its way.
It's gonna be some great timing. I'm wondering what's he gonna go for. Is it just gonna be Golems immediately, or is he gonna go for like the Master Archer play? It's a little bit more difficult to go for the Master Archer play now in Empire Wars because it's gonna, like, there's not that long of a transition in Feudal Age, so you don't have as much time to like create this big massive archers.
Yeah, I mean, it makes perfect sense, and we're kind of already seeing some of those resources accrue in the bank, which I love for Abbasid. Like, you always have these drawbacks, and you know, with the Abbasid, you can't speed up their landmark, but while you're aging up, look at how many resources he's going to be able to immediately use when he does age up, and that can be into whatever he really wants. We saw, I believe it was Magic do a huge Gulam timing attack play earlier, and so let's see what Wam has in store for us here.
Yeah, I mean, right now, this is a little bit hilarious, isn't it? Like, Wam has more resources after aging up than Mista has before.
Scout gets denied, but again, Wam has been kind of forced Mista back with his military, and this is as he's being the kind of, I guess, quote-unquote, greedier one, going up to Castle Age. There's no real damage that's going to go down on his side. Mista can't punish the Castle Age by any means, and Wam's even investing into some walls behind this.
And it looks like it is going to be the Gulam play that we're going to be seeing here from Wam. Blacksmith went down. Lots of barracks went down. Oh, Terrorwing. 8 seconds until it finishes here.
Mista is making that harder transition into the archers, but I mean, this is great for Wam because, yeah, he's like, great, go archers. I now have Gulams. I now have a couple camel riders, and if I go archers myself, mine are just going to be better than yours.
Yeah. Mista just now going to be able to click up. Mehmet Imperial Armory coming in. I mean, the thing is, he can't even go for like knights immediately because Wam is going to have these camel riders, and Wam's getting boot camp. With boot camp, these Gulams are going to have just as much HP as a knight.
Yeah, I mean, this is one of those things where it's so cool once the Abbasids start getting their technologies online. They just work so well in unison. They start combining together, and all of a sudden you're like, wow, my men-at-arms, my archers are that much better. Oh, and I have my composite bows. Oh, and I have my eco being stronger because of Golden Age, because of fertilization when I have to transition to farms or whatever it's called, and all these different things. But Mista has finished his MIA. Eventually will force that siege transition here in a minute or two.
Look at that, Mista. He's not going to go for knights. He's making his own men-at-arms right now. No crossbowmen in queue either, but it looks like that Wam, he didn't immediately send his units forward. Or at least he's still keeping some Gulams there. There is a small troop of units running around the backside of Mista's base right now. Not sure if it's Gulams or archers. Oh, it's the camel riders.
Oh, the camel riders. So that much harder to deal with as, yeah, if you send some spears this way, great. The camels will just run on away. So does have to cancel the military school. A little bit more delay on those units popping out.
Scout goes down, but that was delayed, as you said. It's rebuilt now. And the camel riders, I mean, that's just one man-at-arm chasing them right now, and a crossbowman. These 3 units, in theory, don't pose too much of a threat to these camel riders. They can take them down. If they choose to. They don't.
Instead, pulls on back. Looks like he is pushing forward with a different unit mass here in the middle. He's got spears. He's got some Ghulams. Not a ton of units here to deal with those Ghulams. The Janissaries have that high base damage, but just now starting to come out and start getting focused down by the archers. So great micro here by the few archers that Wham has, and taking the trade the best he can.
Just two of them, but they're able to take down Janissaries, and January is much more expensive than these archers. 2-to-1 cost ratio here, and yeah, the main army from Mista just gets cleaned up. And look at the army count right now from Wham. 33 premium units making their way to the base of Mista. It's a big, big line of blue units there.
And look, behind this, we had one single knight on the backside of Mista's base, raiding some berries, idling out a ton, and forces Mista to use his Vizier point on those 10 Janissaries.
I definitely needed to, but these 10 Janissaries, what are they going to do once there'll be 16 archers with composite bows coming in?
Yeah, and that's kind of this transition from ABBA. They have so many units that are strong in so many different ways. And those composite bow archers, yes, they're not as strong as they used to be a patch ago, but they are still so strong at just taking out any and every unit, essentially, especially when they got a nice and solid Ghulam frontline.
Ghulam's really, really tanky. Composite bows just now coming in. It's going to be a huge upgrade. Behind that, Wham has also been getting relics. He's been so active this entire game. Getting relics, getting sacred sites. Amazing.
We're starting to see that siege built down on the field. We talked about this siege transition that was going to happen. The MIA forces that out. Wham, though, able to quickly react because Abbasid can do that and just build it right there quick and forward.
Exactly. Having access to that Springald immediately means isn't going to have to fear that Mangonel at all. Very nice for him. Army count also still looking really, really good. Causing idle time on the gold there for Mista.
Yeah, and behind this, Wham's eco just going untouched. ABBA in their sweet spot. Springle not actually able to push up on top of the Mangonel, but rest of the army is able to push up. Mista feeling like he has to fall back. There's a couple units split off in his base as well that he's going to have to deal with. If not, more eco damage coming in, more idle time behind this as well. And the front and forward fight goes great for Wham as the Mangonel gets taken out by the Springled Micro. Janissary is going to be able to shred any cavalry unit, but not too many of those on the front side anyways.
The archers aren't focusing the backside of the army there from Mista. It's losing a lot of the Ghulams there for free.
Oh, the Metter does at least get focused. Wham was a little late on it, but as you mentioned, the Archer Micro wasn't quite there during it. That being said, behind this, Mista loses a few more villagers. The villager kill count has gone up to 9 now. Villagers pulled forward. I don't know why the gold villagers are here joining into the fight, but Sipahi have arrived, and there are no spears here. The Ghulam aren't really there either, and Sipahi's so good at actually getting damage onto archers.
Yeah, losing their HP rapidly though. That's a lot of archers. Every now and then, Ghulam's coming out forward as well. Still though, Wham. He's getting kind of hung up on this front line from Mista here, letting his archers fall to the Janissaries and the crossbows here.
Yeah, I almost feel like he could take the whole fight and step forward and just focus on the Jans, focus on the crossbows with 2 different archer groups, but obviously easier said than done with the micro ability. Instead, just regroups, wants to get back together. He knows that he's caused some eco damage behind this, so should still be feeling pretty good for himself.
Exactly. Mista behind this. Adding more and more of his own men-at-arms. He's got 16 out right now. It's going to start getting tougher and tougher for Wham. I feel like he also needs to add in some crossbows.
And look at Wham's gold in the bank. It's just through the roof now. He's gotten 4 relics, or 3 in there and 1 on the way back. He's got 2 sacred sites. So not only the Vil lead, he has all of these kind of like extra passive eco leads. Like Mista with the Ottomans, you have extra military coming out. Well, he doesn't have the military lead. Wham has extra eco bonuses, extra passive gold coming in from what he's done, and so he's really has the leg up here at this point in the game, I feel.
Yeah, it also looks like Mista. He's still on the berries there. I'm not sure if he's getting close to farm transition. He's got a lot of them out right now. He's still mostly on the berries from the looks of it.
Yeah, and that's never a good feeling when you have to make that big farm transition or go out to riskier resources. And you already see Wham has made a little bit of that farm transition so far. Nothing huge yet, but doing it slowly makes it a lot easier as you don't deplete these other food resources as fast, so it makes it a lot smoother throughout.
Here we go. 21 Ghoulems, 50 archers. We do have one sprinkled out. That's a lot of men-at-arms in the back now. Damn, this is getting really tough for him now. He really needs those crossbows. The front line is just getting really, really tanky.
Mangonel immediately does get focused. Gulam stepping forward. Looks like this time the archers are trying to focus in on the crossbows a little bit more, but Micro still so much harder for those archers, whereas Mista on the other side, he just gets to A-move the Gulams, just gets to A-move those Sipahi if he wants, and does force this fight at a perfect timing as Wham, again, having to fall back, not having the military there to hold this right now.
Yeah, Sipahi, they just don't take a lot of damage, and oh my god, Wham, he doesn't have the +2 damage upgrade on his archers.
That's such a crucial oversight here. He has some other upgrades needed, but that is the most important one when your main army is all archers. The Sipahi would be going down that much quicker. He's starting to fall back farther and farther. This is the game decider for him. He needs to win this. He needs to be able to hold this, or Mista is winning this series 3-1. Does look like he is using that defender's advantage pretty well, though. Starting to kind of group back up, starting to mass back up just a little bit here.
He's missing out on 50% of the damage on his archers, finally transitioning into some crossbowmen as well. Crossbowmen going to be doing an excellent job here against these men-at-arms, and a much better job against the Sipahi as well, compared to the archers. It just feels like a little bit too late. Still, though, does have the way better income, and I don't think that Mista has enough to immediately push to the end here.
Yeah, at least the military numbers did get thinned out quite a bit. It's hard to end the game with only 27 military units. Great job by the focus, though, here by Mista so far. He's on top of production, and the Ram is taking down the monastery with triple relics.
It's gonna have to put those into the other monastery behind that. Reinforcements, as they come out of the production buildings, immediately getting sniped by the Janissaries here. We have to be careful. The archers.
Yeah, just needs more units to be able to mass together, and he's kind of reclaiming this map control, starting to push back forward. Last little bit of this unit mass in Wham's base could get cleaned up, but as I say that, it's just there's no units popping out from Wham. There's 16 archers in queue, but I don't know where they're coming out at, and the damage that they're doing, it's not enough.
Whenever they come out, they're moving. They're not immediately attacking. And this is what's really hurting him right now. More archer ranges now getting dropped by Wham. He still is really far ahead economically, but is it enough? Because right now, Mista, he's preparing, and look at that. It's a big swarm of units coming into his base.
Yeah, that red just line across the map. That does mean Wham doesn't have as much red in his base anymore because the numbers have kind of stayed in the 25 to 35 range. But this is the point where Mista's numbers are climbing fast. And Ottomans, they are known for having that military number climb super, super quickly. It's so many men-at-arms, so many Sipahi. And Wham, he keeps queuing archers, and that's not what he needs.
Crossbowman finally back on the menu. Needs him out quickly. Gets a keep up here. This is kind of big because it also somewhat denies the deers there.
Second TC, though, starting to be focused. This will start to allow Mista to create an economic lead over time with an extra TC into play and all of the raids, all of the damage that is being forced forward. That being said, Wham, barely able to keep this alive still. Still pressing forward. Does seem like the keep has finished in the north that we were seeing, but I don't know if he has enough to hold his base still.
It hurts so much seeing that blacksmith upgrade just not being researched. +2 damage on the archers. So crucial. So absolutely crucial with the composite bows. Great synergy. Not having that here means that he's just not able to do enough damage here against the men-at-arms and Sipahi. Now they're running in.
And Mista looks like he's about to create an eco lead for himself. And as the Ottomans, if you're ahead in eco, you are ahead in life because your military is usually way stronger than your opponents. He's sitting there at 53 units. He's got his free siege coming out. He's got all those military schools online and no longer feeling any pressure in his base.
Wam trying to hide in these choke points, but Mista now pushing further in. And now a forward keep coming out as well.
I mean, this is one of those I'm calling game keeps. You get that keep up, it's on all that production, it's on some farms, it's on, more importantly, I believe the TC in range of it. So this just all means everything in its path goes down because you have a line in the sand of protection.
There we go. Keep starts to get built now. And with that, GG gets called. Mista wins against Wam in a 3-1 fashion.
Wow, that was not looking like it was going to go in the Mista's favor earlier on. Wam had some good raids, was ahead in the eco, but just shows you what one little oversight can make because that changes the whole military outlook that happened.